Hello there guys, and welcome back to the channel. So today's video we're gonna be talking about my personal picks for top 5 Mystic champions. So to briefly explain, I recently made a top 5 champions in the game video and I got a fantastic amount of feedback, and many of you were asking me why I didn't rank a certain champion in my top 5 or where I would rank this champion, like if I were to expand my list and so on. And rather than making like one long list, I decided to split the champions down by classes, just because I do not think that a simple list by the numbers themselves is a good way to determine your rank ups or like consider your options, because it's always extremely roster dependent, what you have ranked already, what you are lacking in what aspect, what you need in game, what immunities, power control, so on and so forth. Therefore I did decide to go with the top 5 of each class, and I'm gonna start with what I think currently in the game has become the weakest class. Unfortunately, I think that Mystics have been kind of forgotten for Kabam, and in like last year and a half, I think they have only received 3 new champions, out of whom 2 were absolute garbage. So anyways, we're gonna go with again from my top pick to the 5th place. And so in my opinion, the best Mystic in the game is Scarlet Witch. No, I'm kidding. I'm not kidding, but I can't say, just because I have been largely playing my 5 stars. I haven't been kind of like testing them in 4 stars. I do not know where I would rank Scarlet Witch if she was available as a 5 star. I have pretty much taken Doctor Strange out of this list as well, even though he is available as a 5 star and now 6 star. It's just the fact that I have pretty much no experience with either of these champions highly ranked in recent kind of like years, and I would want to see like Scarlet Witch obviously in game and how she does. I do think she would be one of the best Mystics in the game, if not the best, but I can't simply give her the top spot or a spot in top 5 without seeing anything of it. I would like to see her as a 5 star, what kind of damage she does, how frequently she can trigger her buffs, because 5 star abilities quite often do differ from 4 star. And yeah, I would want to see her first before I am able to put her anywhere close to here. So we're taking Scarlet Witch out, which I love Scarlet Witch and it pains me, but I'm gonna take her out. And then instead I'm gonna go with my personal top pick for Mystic class, and that's Magic. Magic is the one champion like that has withstood test of the time. She's like the best 2015 champion, I believe, because she has remained so relevant and so good. Like recently there have been more things and more opponents, namely like Thing, that Magic does not have a really good matchup against, but she still has extremely large amount of matchups, so she absolutely destroys opponent. Her power and control is like second to none. She's pretty much like the power control queen in the game, because once you shoot off that level 2, that's it, that's pretty much game over. And then if you do mess up, then if you do end up getting hit, that's on you, that's your mistake, because as soon as Magic shoots off that level 2, opponent is basically power locked, power drained, you gain power back, and just rinse and repeat and beat them down. Magic's damage output isn't the greatest, but she works well with suicides, especially if you only run double edge and max recoil. Then you actually net quite a big amount of health whenever you shoot a special attack. She has Morningstar synergy that gives her a lot more crit, and her damage output just goes up exponentially as well. And to this date, Magic is like one of the AW attack staple attackers, just because of how consistent she does what she does. And she is just like very simple to handle, very aggressive champion that's, yeah, very straightforward, great at what it does, and it's kind of like perfection and simplicity, I think, and that's the way I look at it. And that's why I would pick Magic as my top Mystic champion. As my second spot for Mystic champions, I would go with Symbiote Supreme. I haven't played around too much with Symbiote Supreme. I have used my 4 star and I used my 3 star in challenge videos, and I have had a fair amount of experience to know how to use him, but I have seen some insane footage from my alliance mates on YouTube, from Legacy, from many different people, where Symbiote Supreme on the right matchup can be absolutely insane. However, Symbiote Supreme does have a fair amount of not so good matchups. If opponents don't have buffs, he goes slower. If opponents are bleed immune, he hurts a lot in his damage output. So initially he seems like a confusing champ, but he really isn't. He's fairly straightforward in the way he operates. But he definitely is an amazing champion. He isn't like a general kind of like go-to questing champion, just because it takes a bit of time for him to ramp up to get to kind of like level 2 or level 3 before some crazy things can happen. And with his passive power gain being slower than Doctor Strange's, it's really not the fastest kind of execution when it comes to short bursty fights. But to medium to long time, like long length fights, he's an absolutely amazing. If he's fighting against like Medusa, the champion bosses, stuff like that, he can shred them like it's nobody's business, especially if you run like Mystic Dispersion. That's another thing that's great about Magic. Magic doesn't really rely on Mystic Dispersion like much at all. And I forgot to mention Magic's level 3 that can be absolutely brutal, but Symbiote Supreme does rely on that Mystic Dispersion and quite often on like Mystic Power Boost to kind of like cycle his level 2s. But yeah, anyways, I think Symbiote Supreme is one of the most explosive kind of like damaging champions in the game currently under certain conditions. The reason why he isn't in first place is because yeah, he has a fair bit of matchups where he doesn't shine as much and he needs to kind of fulfill certain conditions in order for him to explode. But yeah, so they are my top 2 picks. I think the top 2 champions currently of Mystic class are again like head and shoulder above the rest of the class. Because while there are many decent champions in Mystic class, they really haven't received a lot of support lately, especially in form of Diablo and Ebony Maw. Yeah, I'm looking at those 2 guys, they have been absolute utter disappointments. And Kabam's just not releasing Mystic champions, so many of the champions on the bottom 3 of the list have been like fairly outdated, or they're not as impressive as the top 2, I believe. Anyways, not to say they are bad champions, they're definitely great champions. But anyways, we're gonna go with our number 3 spot, and that's Dr. Voodoo. I ranked Dr. Voodoo in number 3 just because of the sheer amount of utility he has. He has extremely amazing power control once he gets to the level 2s, which he can do basically by getting to his level 1, shooting that off, converting the laws and or any active buffs, and then going straight into level 2. And there are many crazy things Dr. Voodoo can do, but he is, first of all, extremely reliant on Mystic Dispersion. Mystic Dispersion completely changes his champion. Like, without it, he would struggle to make the top list, but Mystic Dispersion is a mastery that kind of like puts him as high as he is, just because how quickly you can cycle through your special attacks. Basically, you can make sure opponent can never throw their special. They're going to be constantly poisoned. And on top of it all, he has a good amount of regen at the beginning of the fight, which is not irrelevant. That makes him a really, really good questing champion, because he kind of has inbuilt sustainability. Because every fight you start, you're going to automatically start with a heal, so you're going to be able to keep going and going in quests, even though you take some cheap damage or you make some mistakes. And his signature build is one of the more unique signature abilities in game, and I absolutely love it. So if you take a look at Dr. Voodoo's signature ability, so mine's at 120. Basically, if you shoot a special attack while you're on odd combo, then all the debuffs you apply to your opponent are extended in duration by 114%, and they have 50% decreased ability accuracy, which is awesome. And if you finish your combo and shoot a special attack with an even combo, then you get your ability accuracy increased by just as much. So and based on odd and even kind of like signature ability positions, he gains different effects. And that signature ability, especially on when you are on odd combo, can extend some really good utilities. You get increased parry length, you debuff everything else. Like in recent Thanos fight, for instance, Voodoo can extend the duration of those armor breaks and therefore have like bigger attack window into him. And yeah, it's just quite crazy how well he synergizes with many different things and nodes and buffs. So he's definitely one of the more unique champions, especially for the time when he came out. So I do absolutely love him. I am considering bringing him to rank 4 if I can't pull a Symbiote Supreme anytime soon, because I do enjoy playing him. But yeah, he is extremely reliant on Mystic Dispersion. And now we're gonna go with champion who I do believe deserves number 4 spot. Where do you go? It's Morningstar. Morningstar, I know Morningstar is many people's favorite as well, just because Morningstar is one of the best champions in the game once you get to the 5 souls. Her level 2 is amazing, can kill bosses instantly, plus combined with Mystic Dispersion, just good times overall. And once she's at 5 souls, her damage is insane. She has a really high perfect block chance, she can health steal opponent and regen quite a bit. And level 2 is unblockable and deals insane amounts of damage. But the problem is her ramp up. Getting to 5 souls quite often turns out to be problematic for Morningstar, because at her very base, when you start the quest with 1 soul only, she isn't the best champion. It's quite tricky to get where you want to be with Morningstar often, and if you want to get there, you quite often need to dedicate like your synergy team to her, plus yeah, so that's not the easiest thing in the world to do as well, and that's the only reason she is as low as she is. I do enjoy the character, especially when I'm playing like dungeons or stuff like that. I do have like a duped 6-star Morningstar as well, and she's definitely awesome. I do enjoy playing her, but the process to getting to 5 souls is one of the kind of like more excruciating processes in the game to kind of like ramp champion up, because you do not only obviously need to kill the opponent at the end of the fight, but well, you do not need to kill the opponent, but you need to get to the level 3 and then damage him enough to kind of capture the soul, which is quite a long process for obtaining the soul. For most champions in game, is just basically knock down an opponent, kill an opponent, but here with Morningstar you also need to get to level 3, which is definitely frustrating. But yeah, other than that, she definitely has great amount of utility once she's built up. Insane damage, some really good synergies with Mystic Dispersion mastery, and I do enjoy playing the character. It's just, I think the downside of having to build her up in several courses of several fights really brings the character down, especially when you look at the quests like Act 6, where you do not get like an easy startup nodes. It's basically go from beginning, so it's not the easiest thing to do to actually ramp her up, and that quite often proves to be tricky. Like I tried her in AQ several times and I either died or I nearly died while I was ramping her up, so I ended up using a regen. While she was on 5 souls, she did perfect, she healed up, all the fight was cool. But yeah, getting there isn't the easiest thing in the world. And basically the last and the 5th spot is kind of going to be in between Ghost Rider, Mephisto and Dormammu, I believe. But I would like to edge out Mephisto or Ghost Rider for the 5th spot, and I know there are going to be many people disagreeing with this. But I do have, first of all, fairly soft spot for Mephisto, just because I think the champion is amazing. And B, I think that Incinerate immunity for a Mystic character is extremely useful, plus the passive power gain, and also the fact that opponents start the fight with like no buffs active to them is becoming more and more relevant these days. So yeah, anyways, Mephisto upsides is the fact that he's poison immune, he's Incinerate immune, or rather he doesn't take any Incinerate damage, but he can still get the debuff, so he can heal from it. And there are more and more champions that do rely heavily on their buffs, so it used to be only mainly like Medusa and a few others, but now we have recently seen champions like the Champion, which Mephisto can absolutely destroy. The Thing can't get that unstoppable buff if Mephisto's Soul Imprisonment is still active. We have Annihilus that becomes completely useless if he doesn't have his Cosmic Control Rod, and Mephisto shuts that down. So yeah, I do think that Mephisto is worthy of the top 5 spot. I have made a separate video on Mephisto a couple of weeks or about a month back, explaining exactly why I think Mephisto is overlooked by many people and what are the kind of like upsides of the character. But yeah, so this is my top 5 list of Mystic champions. Also, it's definitely worth mentioning that all of these characters do benefit from Mystic Dispersion, obviously, as a class mastery, and it is still amazing mastery. However, the champions that do not need it as much is Magic and Mephisto. Symbiote Supreme and Voodoo definitely do rely on Mystic Dispersion a lot, and Morningstar as well to quite a large extent. But yeah, that is going to be about it for today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did, please do leave a comment, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, share it with your alliance, and stay tuned for the second video in this series, which is gonna be about tech class, and see you guys soon.